recently, a lot of people from the previous administration have been, they've got a little bit of the writing fever. They got the fever, and only writing a book is gonna solve that fever. They got a rumbly in their tumbly, and only writing a book is gonna solve that, right? They got a hunger for it, I tell you. So we had Kamala Harris, who recently wrote a book and was going on a whole long book thing, trying to get publicity for it, talking about how everyone around her was such a failure, and if only she had better people around her, maybe she would have been president. Got a lot of good content came from that. So now the next black lady who, just got screwed over is ready to give her book Ring Around the Rosie and see what you think about it. Karine Janine Pierre. Karine Janine Pierre. Karine Jean Pierre. Karine Jean Pierre. KGP. Let's call her KGP. The KGP is recently been making her rounds because she wrote a book too. So she's been making her rounds. Of course, she was the propaganda minister of the Biden regime. Oh, sorry. She was the press secretary of the Biden presidency. Excuse me. Sorry about that. She was the black lady, if you remember, after the Circle Back lady, that one, who's now working at CNN, MSNBC, something like that. I forget. She's the orange-haired lady. Now it's the black lady, right? This one. She has decided to write a book, and she has been going on all the different things, talking about what it was like working under Biden, who, in her words, was just so misunderstood, hardest working, smartest, most capable president of all time, and he definitely didn't have any problems with his mental and physical fitness, okay? And he definitely didn't need to take a test. Come on, man. So anyways, let's listen to some of these interviews that she's had recently, where unfortunately seems like even the bastions of liberal think have been pushing back on her a little bit. We'll get to that. But first, here we go. Here is Karine Janine, KGP, talking about her time with Biden.
We did have legislative wins.
Sure, and he didn't talk about him that well, though. He couldn't talk about them. He wasn't campaigning.
No. Wait. First of all, he did talk about them. Whether it broke through or not, he did. Tim, he did talk about.
He talked way less to the press than Donald Trump does. Way less. And he wasn't out there at all. He wasn't good off the cuff. He wasn't doing press conferences. Let's just be real. Like, he didn't do paid events.
Tim, that's not true. Tim, you're conflating all of it. That's what you're.
No, okay, guys. Biden talked to the press way more than Trump did. Okay, that's not true. That's not. The fact that she can say with a straight face that Biden spoke to the press more than Trump did is insane. Like, say what you will about Trump, but that guy is constantly fucking talking to the press. Like, literally every single day we're watching something where he's talking to the press. And if you remember any time with Biden, he basically never spoke to the press. And anytime he ever did, he literally had cue cards with him that had the name and the face and the person's question when they asked them stuff.
No, you're telling me he didn't talk well about it. Then you're telling me he didn't talk at all.
He didn't do either. He didn't talk very often, and when he did, it wasn't very good. He sounded very old.
Maybe you weren't paying attention to what we were doing at the White House. But
I paid attention. I'm with you on the policies. I'm talking about his performance.
The president spoke to the American people a couple times a week. He traveled and did domestic travel and talked directly to the American people. We did have legislative.
So yeah, that's insane. What she's saying is insane. And it's also crazy that she's still towing the party line even when she's no longer working in the Biden administration is fucking crazy, right? And the fact that she's trying to make you believe that Biden did talk to the press all the time, and he spoke much better than Trump did. He was great. He was fantastic. What a great guy. Anyways, we have more from KGP. Let's see what she says. Here we go.
Was saying, because I too thought that, and you said, people said, why didn't members of his inner circle speak up about what many believe was the apparent decline of Joe Biden. You said you're a member of the inner circle and you never saw the decline. And after that, I wrote, how? Yeah. You even write, Karine, that you were on the plane with him going to the debate and you didn't see anything.
Well, when we were on the Air Force One going to the debate, you got to remember his campaign people were on the team, his family was on the team. I actually was one of those rare trips that I didn't really see him until after the debate, even though I was on the plane. So really, I want everybody to know that I take this question incredibly seriously. I do. I was his White House press secretary, which means I had a role that saw him practically every day and traveled with him.
And you saw nothing.
For more than 95%. We've always said, we're not going to say, oh, he didn't age. He aged. And he poked fun at it. We always owned up. And with age comes what happens when you get older.
Which is?
But when we talk about the mental acuity, and again, I take this very, very seriously. I never saw anyone who wasn't there. I saw someone who was always engaged. I saw someone who understood policy, pushed us on the policy, and also understood history. And there were times, I'll tell you the story, there were times where he would call me into the Oval Office, and I would be like, oh no, because I knew whatever he was going to ask me was going to be direct, was going to be about a story he read, about how we're pushing back, how we're pushing a message forward.
And you write about the people within the party pushing him out. Some would describe those people fighting for a replacement candidate is fighting. But you also describe this current state of the Democratic Party as too timid. And what can the Democratic Party do to get out of this timid and even some will say disappointing place?
So timid that you've gotten out of the Democratic Party.
Here's the thing. I actually think that the system is broken. The two-party system is broken, and we need it to be fixed, to be working in order.
The reason why politics are broken when it comes to Democrats is because they lie. Like, I can't believe she's still lying about this. And the way she lies is just so slimy. It's just that pure political bullshit of like, well, actually, he was really the greatest guy of all time, and he was so smart, and he cared about history, and like, dude, just admit it. He was mentally declining. You covered it up. Like, just admit it. But everything about her is fake, including the fucking wig she's wearing now. You know, it's just so slimy. Like, back when she was supposed to be like, oh, I'm the black press secretary, she had her real hair showing because they wanted to focus on that. And now when she's trying to sell her book, she wears a wig, you know, to hide that. Like, dude, every single part about you is fucking fake. Like, you are a fake, and you're lying still on network television because you're trying to sell your book about this shit. Like, shut up, dude. But anyways, that wasn't the only one, by the way. That's not the only one. There's even more. And guess what? She went on Stephen Colbert. And I think, you know, I'm sure Stephen Colbert is going to toe the party line, right? He's one of those Democrat stooges. Or will he?
I saw a guy who I had not seen backstage at the benefit that I did. It seemed like a dramatically different person. And at 81 years old, that's not entirely unexpected. You can imagine why people got so worried.
So, a couple of things. I got to see Joe Biden almost every day. And this is a question that I take very seriously. No one has ever said he hasn't aged. No one ever said that. He would make jokes about it. He would acknowledge it. And he would say, yes, I know I don't speak this as well as I used to. I don't walk as well as I used to. No one is saying that he didn't age. I'm talking about, did he have the question that I was getting, the mental acuity? Was he able to govern? And the man...
No. I'll answer that. No, he was not. And she covered it up. And all of it got exposed when he was forced to actually do anything in front of a live audience. And that was the debate where he got embarrassed. But that was the real Joe Biden. That was the Joe Biden that wasn't given cue cards about what he was supposed to say and who he was speaking to. There was a reason why they hid him from the press. There was a reason why he didn't do public functions that often. That's exactly what it is. And everyone knows that. And the fact she's still lying about that is It's sad. It really is.
That I saw nearly every day was someone who was engaging, understood policy, and was always putting the American people first. And it showed in what we were able to get done. I remember I saw him
I don't think
nearly
anybody
every
questioned
day.
his heart
Yeah.
or his policies,
not even-
but it takes more than that to be the president of the United States. And in a moment of great pressure on stage, we saw someone shock us and worry us.
By the way, when your literal Goebbels of the Democrats is saying this shit to you, you know you have a problem. Or even he can't lie about this and make it into a jokey, quippy thing. Like, that's a huge issue.
And nothing could assuage that worry. So I don't think it was necessarily a betrayal of Joe Biden, as other people saying, we don't think we were shown Joe Biden.
But to be very clear, and this is a good point, by the way, B. Jefferson, is I remember specifically covering politics back then, and I would talk about his mental and physical decline. And you know what people would say to me? They'd be like, oh my God, how dare you make fun of someone that has a stutter? They were literally trying to cover up his very clear mental decline as he had a stutter. Oh my God, it's just a stutter, man. It's a stutter, bro. Like, what are you like? Hey everyone. It's a stutter, dude. Like, what insanity we were living through.
Biden that you saw.
I saw every day a really ugly assault on someone who had 50 plus years of experience.
That's so crazy. They pull on your heartstrings, and this is just straight out of the Democrat playbook. Oh, it's just a really ugly assault on someone who works so hard. The bottom line is this. If you are the president of the United States of America, you need to be held to a higher standard. Yes, it's terrible if we were just going out on the street and going up to an old person being like, hey, dude, you're like fucking, you got a mental and physical decline. What's wrong with you? You sometimes forget your words. What's wrong with you, idiot? Like, that would be terrible. And oh my God, what a horrible thing to do, right? But the fact of the matter is that he was literally with his finger on the proverbial nuclear button all the time, you know? A decision that he made could have destroyed the world or anything at any point, you know? That's the reality of the situation, you know? He was the most powerful man in the world, and somehow it's like a terrible thing to question his ability to run governance, to run government. You know, somehow, oh my God, how dare you speak about that? Oh my God, he's just an old man. Like, and that's the crazy part, is that when he was found with actual legitimate classified documents in his home, guess what they said? They said, oh, well, we're not going to try you even though you actually did it because you're just a forgetful old man, and oh, that'd be terrible to have an old man in jail. That's literally what they said. Specifically, that's what they said, okay? And even then people were like, oh, that doesn't mean anything.
And who, again, objectively had done a good job as president of the United States.
Unfit to stand trial or whatever, right?
And it was heartbreaking to see that type of behavior.
I think all of that, everything you're saying, I cannot fault the factual basis of what you're saying or your feelings about it. Yeah. But what happened was the debate performance. Everything is downstream of that.
And no one is...
Biden gave the documents when asked. Trump refused. Trump specifically had those documents from when he was president, meaning that he had presidential immunity. Biden had those documents from when he was vice president. There's no presidential immunity given to him whatsoever. It does matter. That's the whole crux of the thing, is that the legal standard is that the president has immunity, and what he deems to be classified or unclassified, he can say at a wave of a pen. Whatever the president deems is so. So he, by his own determination, could say this is undocumented, this is unclassified, this is classified, I can have this, I cannot have it. That is the president of the United States of America, and what he says stands. Biden, as the vice president, had no such ability to do so. And so what he did was criminal. What Trump did was within his legal right completely.
Saying that the debate performance wasn't shocking, wasn't a disappointment. No one is saying that.
Disappointment is such a light term.
I use...
Disappointment is such a light term. Whoa. The issue is when you're told you can't have these and you choose to ignore that. No, look, I think you just don't understand that this very thing is that nobody tells the president of the United States you can't have these. The president of the United States makes the determination himself. He's the top of the food chain.
It was harrowing.
I use your words.
Okay, look, listen, we're
Quite literally commander-in-chief. Quite literally.
never going to agree on this.
He was when he got those documents. That's what I'm trying to say. When he took those documents in, when he had those documents brought to Mar-a-Lago, he was president. He can make that determination as president. He made the determination.
We're not.
Other than the fact that I'm glad that you came here tonight and
I
telling me to
appreciate
rap
that.
over there. Would you like to say one more thing?
There you go.
Hello.
So, Karine Jean-Pierre, man, there she is. And goddamn, dude. You know, I think it's insane that she's still running this whole defense for Biden when she's not even in the administration anymore. It just makes no sense. It really doesn't. I feel bad for her because I know that it's just something that is kind of embroiled in her being to defend what she did in the White House during that time. But I mean, I don't know. I just hope that one day she can have, I mean, I think that she knows deep down in her heart that she was lying about things, you know, and that Biden very clearly was in a mental and physical decline, that he didn't know where he was. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know what day it was. He couldn't speak correctly. He couldn't walk. The guy was falling on his face, flubbing and stumbling and mumbling every day. You know, if Biden wasn't stumbling and mumbling and fumbling, it was like, what the hell is going on? Like, seriously, it was a national embarrassment. Every single day that Biden was in office was a national embarrassment. It went from one embarrassment to another. The time when he shit himself in front of world leaders, the time where he got lost and wandered away in front of all of Europe's biggest, all of the leaders of Europe, and then was talking to some parachuting guy and had to be led back by the leader of Italy. Over and over and over again. It was embarrassment after embarrassment after embarrassment. And that's what the Democrats specifically did to the country just so that they can maintain power. That's why I do not find it shocking whatsoever that Democrats have shut down the entirety of government specifically so that they can hold on to power and they can placate the most extreme part of their base, which is the ones that want completely unrestricted illegal immigration and want to give healthcare to illegal aliens.